Hey there, I'm Chappie, and this is Sketching Out Lorcana. If you've ever been to one of the Walt Disney theme parks around the world, there's a certain color reference you've probably heard of once or twice, and that's go away green. This isn't just a little buzzword that Disney uses to refer to something quirky. It's an actual design practice that they use within their amusement parks. Go away green refers to when Disney takes something that they want to draw attention away from and they coat it or disguise it within a shade of green. The previously mentioned go away variety, of course. So, how does this work? And why does it work? Well, they actually use different shades of green to achieve this effect. But if you notice the particular shade in the particular area, there's a purpose to the choice. Go away green's purpose, like I said, is to draw attention away from the painted object. While our minds register that there's a clock or a lamp or a building there, this shade of green that blends in with the environment helps us dismiss just that bit and disregard it as just part of the set dressing. So why do I bring this up? Well, today we're going to tackle the topic of color theory within Disney Lorcana. While there's multiple facets to color theory, I want to focus on how it deals with the different ink sections of the Lorcana set pools. Why does this color get this character? Or why does this type of card focus on this ability set? We'll discuss all of this and more on this chapter of Sketching Out Lorcana. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way for any of my art buffs or enthusiasts within the room. We aren't going to be talking about every single aspect of color theory. Today, that is. To shed some light on the subject, color theory refers to the usage of color within the broad spectrum of art mediums and can refer to any number of different practices and concepts. I know you guys have heard of color schemes before. That's a facet of color theory. Color harmony is another one, and then there's color mixing. Today, however, we're going to touch up on a branch of color symbolism known as color psychology. Color psychology refers to a study of color diving into how the brain analyzes a color and associates said color with certain emotions, aspects, or characteristics. Just like how the eyes see and recognize the go away green in Disney parks, the brain automatically disregards the color as part of the surrounding environment. You might sit there and think, Chappie, that's bonkers. There's no way you can do something as silly as link an emotion with a color. But you absolutely can. Here, let's play a little game. I'm going to pop a color up on the screen. I'll even say the name of the color when I show it. When I pop that color on the screen, I want you to either voice the first thing that comes to your mind or just note mentally what sprung to your brain first. Okay, are you ready? Let's do this. 1, 2, 3. Red. Alright, I'm about to blow your dang mind. Get ready for this. I'm going to guess the majority of you thought about one of the following concepts. Love, anger, speed, whether that's speeding up or coming to a stop. And there's one that's probably going to catch you a little off guard. I bet some of you saw red and got hungry or thought about food. For those of you that didn't call out what you were thinking about, congrats, you get a little golden Chappie star. It's valid at all of these participating stores shown below. Our brain can see the colors and draw the line between what color that is and how the color makes us feel or respond to it. This isn't too dissimilar to how we can see shapes in the character design and fill in the blanks for what that implies about the character. You like that? That was a little callback to last chapter. You can call that a little reference, a little callback, a little payoff. So how does color psychology's theory play into the roles of Lorcana's ink identity? Well, let's dive into what exactly I mean by the ink identity. The different inks must have different uses and functions, right? Otherwise, you're going to play a game with different colors that all play the same way. Imagine if every single color, aside from the lemon lime combo decks, got discard synergy. Jeez, I got angina thinking about that. That sounds horrible. This works in the premises of design as well. Each ink has a different design principle, And you can see that take root within the card art. Circular glyphs with the backgrounds of sapphire and the shield-like interwoven shapes of amber are just a couple of examples of how Lorcana's art team incorporates shape language. Remember that? Another little reference. Into their different inks art. This helps each ink receive its own unique profile and sense of self, its own ink identity. For more about the ink design principles and the shape languages involved in the design, I'm going to give a huge shout out to my fellow Lorcana art lovers Liam and Aaron at the Limiteers. Their 7 Lorcana Facts You Didn't Know video initially brought it to my attention and is just an awesome and fun video altogether. Please go check it out and check out the Limiteers while you're there. They're super cool, you're great people, and they just put out super cool content. I've followed them since I got into Lorcana, so yeah, go give them a watch and a subscription stuff. Subscribe, like button, all of it. So with the addition of ink identity to the initial understanding we had of color psychology, we can marry the two practices together and piece together some artistic and gameplay decisions that the team makes when deciding certain placements. Like, why do we put this character in this ink? Why does this gameplay mechanic go in this inkwell? We'll answer that and more as we go through the inks and what their color identities are. It feels right to go in alphabetical order, right? Okay, I'm going to give you a little glimpse into the gremlin mind, my little messed up space. Whenever I hear the word amber, I do not think of a golden gemstone. I think of flipping bugs stuck in fossilized tree sap and that DNA being used to create a prehistoric biological reserve so astounding that it'll captivate the... Alright, I'm done. I'm done with the JP. Let's go back to Disney. Amber, at its core, is a golden color. It's tossed up colloquially between yellow and orange, but the best point to place it on the color wheel would be like a more subdued yellow. When we see this hue, we're initially drawn to happy smiley face stickers and sunshine. Amber, and yellow by extension, symbolize happiness, comfort, peace, and harmony. We're invited into the comfort of a home with this color. We're happy and cozy and we're enjoying some tea. And you know I'm talking about some sweet tea. If that doesn't scream home and comfort and peace, I don't know what does. So from a gameplay perspective, we can get a look at the peaceful aspect. Amber's abilities fall more so in the term of inviting characters to play for less cost, or receiving characters straight back from discard. Probably my favorite Amber card around, Mufasa, Betrayed Leader, is a card that trades off its existence with a new character from the top of your deck. All of this to say that there's rarely any Amber abilities or characters that really affect the characters of your opponent. Or if they do affect the opposing characters, it's to lower their attack. Again, emphasis on peace. We also see tons of healing, bodyguards, and especially singers in Amber. Who doesn't get warm and fuzzy listening to their favorite Disney tunes? Well, except for Be Prepared. As far as the character placements go, well, Amber seems to be the color of comfort and harmony and peace, so by extension, that makes it the color for family as well. Some great examples for this are, of course, the fact that a huge chunk of the Madrigal family are in Amber. There's also the Dalmatians as well. Only one Pongo, that's out of all of the Dalmatians in Lorcana, only one Pongo isn't in the Amber Dalmatian pack. We also know that Ohana means family, and that means Stitch is a pretty consistent member of Amber as well. Now don't get me wrong, we'll see a villain pop up in this family-friendly color every now and again, but you're more likely to see one of the 7 dwarfs or a singing princess before any of those villains. Sorry, Amber Hades stands. Let's cruise on over to Amethyst, named after the purple gemstone. Again, I see purple and my mind goes to a friendly dinosaur. I love dinosaurs, sue me. But there's actually a Disney character that holds one of the keys to Amethyst's color psychology, Figment. Epcot's little spark of imagination plays heavily into letting the imagination create and finding new avenues for inventiveness. And that blends into Purple's color theory perfectly. Purple is the color of enlightenment, creativity, magic, and royalty. Why royalty? Well, that's a bit of a fun fact. In ancient times, my heart wants to say like Rome, specifically in Greece, they used sea slugs from the Mediterranean Sea to create a very rare dye that came out purple. And it was more expensive, so it usually was made for togas for the royals. Hence the association with royalty. Nasty, disgusting association, but nonetheless, that's where it comes from. Purple has always been associated with creativity as well. The very essence of creativity is the creation of magic. The two go hand in hand together. Do Lorcana cards affect this? Reflect this? I can't speak. I was about to say type. Absolutely. Amethyst's bread and butter is card draw, which, if you think about it, is pretty magical. I mean, the cards are willing more cards into your hands. How neat is that? They also have the power to exert chosen characters on your opponent's side of play. That's also taking control of something only your opponent can do. That's definitely another magical element. The standout character that captures said magic is Alice, T. Alchemist, to me at least. They took a Disney character with no magical association and then made her magical with tea. It's brilliant. That's the second time I've talked about tea in one video. I think I'm thirsty. Yeah, I'm definitely thirsty. Apart from that, a good chunk of the Disney mystics and sorcerers call Amethyst their home in Lorcana. Some great examples are, I mean, I can't not mention how Rise of the Floodborn made Amethyst the stomping grounds for both Merlin and Madame Mim. They made the Sorcerer's Duel from Sword in the Stone happen in Lorcana through card play. You can also find magical objects here, like magic brooms and Aladdin's magic carpet, and even a certain talking puppet. When it comes to royalty, it's important to mention that the Queen of Disney, Elsa, happens to be pretty comfy living in Amethyst as well, with only one Elsa card being in a different color. Another fun fact, this Elsa Snow Queen card has been featured in every sketch in Lorcana to this point. Why? I just like it. I think it's neat. That's it. The art's dope. It's a common Nicholas Cole W. I mean, come on. Alright, so what do you think of when you see Emerald? With this green shade, my mind usually jumps to jealousy or envy. It's why when I think of Disney characters in the color green, my mind immediately jumps to Scar. It always has. But there's some different aspects that color psychology informs us on. Emerald is mostly associated with wealth, rebirth, elegance, and loyalty. But what's most notable is that Emerald is associated with problem solving. Emerald's most unique aspects are how it can adapt to the board state by discarding opponents' hands, keeping its characters safe with abilities like Ward and Evasive, and taking advantage of damaged opposing characters by banishing them. What's most unique, I think, is how we can take that rebirth word from the initial color psychology and apply it to game terms. Doesn't bouncing your opponent's character back to their hands set up for a situational rebirth of sorts? I mean, I thought that was kind of clever. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I see it. Like, I think that's cool. And you know, if I'm bringing that up, I gotta give some love to my boy, Kate Cloud Kicker, tough guy. I love that card. So what kinds of characters do we see in Emerald? There's all sorts, but you can find particularly quite the cunning sort around this ink. To fall in line with other characters getting just one card in another color, Flynn Rider's predominantly featured in Emerald since the debut of Lorcana, only getting his first outside of Emerald card in Ursula's Return. Or how about a character that's only appeared in Emerald? The Cheshire Cat has yet to step out of Emerald. When it comes to characters known for cunning and trickery, those both soar towards the top of the list, whether it's for mischievous reasons or devious reasons. When it comes to loyalty, this really took me by surprise. We also see that representation. Did you know that Emerald has the most cards with a classification for ally? As of right now, there's 43 allies in Emerald. I mean, friends are the ultimate example of loyalty. And yes, don't forget about elegance and wealth as well. So, y'all know I'm going to mention Kuzco. And we can't forget the more nuanced Disney villains in this wow. I can't talk again, in this color as well, like Lady Tremaine or Prince John. I feel like this must be why I'm stuttering and stuff. I feel like I'm forgetting something. There's like a rodent or something I'm forgetting. There's something squeaker squeaky, maybe a flying rodent like a pigeon or not a crow. I'm definitely drawing a blank on what card or cards I'm trying to think of. Oh well. Let's switch on over to Ruby, which we sort of touched upon earlier with my little practice round. And no, we're not going to linger on how red brings out hunger and makes you hungry, makes you think about food. I am hungry. I keep bringing up food and drink. I'm hungry. I'm not going to bring up the McNugget card or the Big Mac card. Wait, are there any legit food cards in Ruby? I'm going to check super quick. Well, it's not a legit sandwich or French fry card, but there is the poison apple from Snow White in the first chapter, so that's something. Anyways, backing away from the memes, Ruby color psychology tends to give off vibes of passion, aggression, action, and power. I think the best way to point this out in symbolism is something that we all have. We all have different types, but all humans have it. It's a common component for us. It's blood. Red is the color of blood. Blood is associated with action, aggression, and can even be attributed to pumping through our bodies and helping bolster passion. It's literally the fuel for our bodies to live. It's the passion. It's all of it. As you can guess, I'm borrowing from one of my Twitter threads for this video, and one thing that I'll always stick to my guns about this, is that so many Ruby cards show some sort of action. Characters are always taking action in Ruby. They're either striking an awesome pose, like getting ready to do something, or they're diving into a fight or bracing for the storms of the Inklands. Ruby can also be commonly attributed to two action-based abilities, Rush and Reckless, both seemingly loving and fitting into Ruby ink like a dang glove. There's also, aggression. Ruby probably has the most aggressive removal in the game. I mean, I'd be remiss not to mention that of all songs featured in the game, Be Prepared is the song that's featured with the most cards so far, all of which are in Ruby, and all of which perform some sort of removal. I mean, they gotta have the best representation for the best Disney song, right? Honestly. Are there any characters that tend to gravitate to Ruby? Well, with Ruby being an extension of red, a primary color, and being so visually impactful to power and passion, you'll actually find a ton of hero cards in Ruby. Raya and Sisu feature pretty heavily in Ruby, along with Aladdin, Mulan, and Peter Pan as well. There's also the aggressive and powerful villains that dwell in. Wow. There's also the aggressive and powerful villains that dwell in Ruby, like Madame Medusa, Shere Khan, and Scar. I think it's important to note one especially aggressive villain in particular. We've only gotten one Dragon Maleficent card, and it's just nice and comfy with an accompanying Dragonfire card in Ruby. Just a side note, my favorite ink is Steel, due to all the love that my boy Simba gets in that character pool, but dude, what's wrong with me? But the dynamic art in Ruby quickly made it my second favorite ink very early into my love for Lorcana. There's just so many awesome action-packed cards that I adore. This stuttering stuff, it says squeak, what? I keep thinking squeak. What's up with squeak? Let's take a break from the hot-blooded fires of Ruby and skip over to something a little more chill. Sapphire makes the mind think of order, serenity, reflection, and compassion. Sapphire's parent color, blue, helps create both purple, or amethyst, and green, or emerald. So it makes sense that there would be aspects from both of those within Sapphire's color psychology. We get the inventive creativity from amethyst and the analytical cunning from emerald, leading to the color being seen as a field of intellects. You know how you see the questions on social media about what color folder you'd put certain subjects in for school? Well, I always put math in the blue folder. It just makes sense to me because math kind of goes with the smart stuff. I don't know. Don't listen to me. Don't leave a dislike. Unsubscribe. Don't do that, please. So what are some ways to profit from analyzation and creativity? Well, There's two tools in Sapphire kits that speak to this: literal tools, taking the form of items, and inking. Sapphire takes advantage of these two fields by having either characters that interact with items in useful ways, or give songs, items, and characters that help benefit the player with the ability to ink more cards, or bonus incentives to ink the cards. My favorite Sapphire card, bar none, has to be Belle Strange But Special. This wonderful depiction of Belle in her ball gown is not only a beautiful art piece, Alice Pisoni killed it with this, but it's also a powerhouse card that can give massive gains to the patient and resourceful player. Another large aspect of Sapphire is the support ability, which helps with the whole compassion aspect of the color theory. If a character isn't helping with inking or items, there's a good chance they're supporting other characters when they quest. As I mentioned before, the character pool for Sapphire seems to dwell within the intellectual powerhouses of Disney canon, but it also shows some more unique characters as well. I mean, you see Scrooge McDuck, King Triton, Basil the Great Mouse Detective, and people like Maurice, Belle's dad. They're in Sapphire. They love Sapphire. But in that same vein, you'll also see Grandma Tala, Princess Aurora, and Cogsworth here too. Some, I feel, pretty unique Disney characters. Also find it super cool when Lorcana homes in on something, like a certain aspect about the character that's memorable and really run with it. I think it's the absolute best when they do that. I think it's super cool. The best example for sure is how there are aerial cards in Sapphire, but the aerial Sapphire glimmers are specifically themed around her fascination with human objects and her collection of those objects. That's such a cool attention to detail that I absolutely love. And finally, let's tackle Steel. Now, Steel right off the bat is unique because it's the only ink that isn't named after a gemstone. It's named after a metal. While there's the argument that they could have gone with diamond and still kept the flavor text of the characters and all that, it feels like Steel really drives the point home about what the ink's all about. So let's envision the cool gray steel of a sword and see where this takes our minds. Steel makes us resonate with resistance, stability, protection, and dignity. Steel is the color associated with putting in hard work, seeing the results, and achieving your goals. It's the color of castles being built and fortresses being assembled. Where ruby was a color of aggression and power, steel is the embodiment of strength. Pure, untampered, raw strength. Remember when we talked about squares being the embodiment of resistance and strength in the shape language video? With squares just so happen to be a main design used within steel cards. And it helps to show these characters that they have keyword abilities like Challenger, Bodyguard, and Resist. These are our characters meant to protect and serve your deck as powerhouses. Whether that's the extra strength provided from Challenger, or the extra defense of protecting as a Bodyguard or Resist. I mean, one of the word associations with Steel is Resistance. It's a perfect ability. Some of the most notable characters in Steel casually swing these abilities around and have huge presence within the ink. The first two that immediately come to mind, I already brought them up earlier, was Simba and my boy Hercules. Simba's first notable card in Steel, Return King, had and still has the largest Challenger edition, while Hercules has boasted both Bodyguard and Resist on multiple cards. Like I said, Steel is an ink serving as a bulwark for the decks of its players. The vibes are there to strike home just how powerful the glimmers are here. It's been a major contender since the inception of Lorcana as the strongest ink, always having a huge presence in any sort of play out there. I mean, how long has Steel Song been part of the meta? I think that these thoughts around the ink identities and color theory regarding them are super important and integral to the game. Not only from a gameplay design standpoint to keep things unique when questing for lore, but also to keep things unique for players when they want to build their unique deck. I mean, including mono ink decks, there's 36 possible ink combinations with standard 60 card decks. And within those 60 card decks, you can have as many or as little of your favorite characters, songs, and locations as part of them. That gives such an awesome window to customize decks with some of the most beloved characters ever. One more fun thing that I feel like this helps out with is seeing spoilers for cards or guessing future cards just from the ink identities and how the ink colors could fit in with that character. In my anecdote, I made 5 custom cards with characters that I truly feel would slot perfectly into those inks based solely on their characterizations. But like I mentioned with Ariel before, they can really run with an aspect of a character and just spout out tons of cards that we're not expecting. I mean, bro, let's look at, and this is going to date this video, let's look at the newest card that was just shown off last night by the Limiteers for Shimmering Skies. Remember Who You Are. Everyone was guessing how this could have been different ink colors. I mean, I'm the art boy, and I was saying that it'd be an amber card due to the golden floor enveloping the form of Mufasa, whereas the center and core of the card held the identity all along. It's super fascinating. This card game is just the gift that keeps on giving for the artistic and creative mind. I love seeing this stuff. I love speculating this stuff. I love talking about this stuff. And I'm so excited to share more with you guys and explore more with you guys and dive into what else we can find and discover from the future episodes of Sketching Out Lorcana. If there's ever anything you want to see me discuss, feel free to discuss it below or comment below, I guess. Why'd I say discuss twice? Anyway, don't forget to keep on questing between these chapters, and I'll see you real soon. See you guys.